The First Lady of Turkey, Emine Erdoğan, is a private and mysterious figure. She lives in a luxurious palace and drinks special white tea worth $2,000, although at one point she nearly took her own life. How did an ordinary girl become the most influential woman in the country? Why was her mother-in-law against the marriage? What secrets does this family, living like royalty despite not being royal, hide? And what is the First Lady being condemned for in these troubled times for Turkey? Watch the full video to learn the story of Emine Erdoğan, the woman people in Turkey are afraid to talk about. Let's begin. Emine Gülbaran was born in Istanbul to a religious Kurdish family, being the fifth child and the only daughter. As a child, she was friendly, obedient, and modest, and her older brothers treated her like a princess. She attended a girls' elementary school and then continued her education at an art school, which she never finished. When Emine dropped out of school, her brothers insisted that since she didn't want to study, she should cover her head. Although she was interested in religion, the idea of wearing a hijab scared her. She had no friends who wore headscarves, and at the time wearing religious clothing was still restricted by law. That's when a person appeared in her life who changed everything. Her meeting with her future husband happened almost by accident. Emine was participating in events organized by the Association of Idealistic Women. She and a friend attended a meeting with the Prime Minister, but the attention was not on him. It was on a tall, thin speaker in a formal suit. This was 23-year-old Recep Tayyip Erdoğan, who at the time was the chairman of the Istanbul Municipal Council. When he began reading poetry and talking about faith, Emine's heart started beating faster. Her face turned noticeably red, and she whispered to her friend, "I saw this man in my dream last night. I dreamed that I would marry him." That's how their story began. But it wasn't that simple. Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's mother was strongly opposed to the marriage. She dreamed of a daughter-in-law in a chador and had long chosen the right wife for her son, one who was fully covered. Against her expectations, Emine seemed insufficiently traditional. But in Erdoğan's circle, there were people who supported his choice. They convinced his mother that the young politician with a bright future needed not a wife in a black burqa, but a smart, modern woman who could walk beside him and represent the country. A year after their first meeting, on July 4, 1978, they had a modest wedding in a restaurant in Istanbul. This is how Emine Gülbaran became Emine Erdoğan, the wife of the man who was destined to become the most influential politician in the country. After the wedding, Emine fully devoted herself to her family. Soon the couple had their first son, Ahmet Burak, followed by Bilal, and later, 2 daughters, Ezra and Sümeyye. All 4 of the Erdoğan children received higher education at prestigious universities in Europe and the US. Years later, Emine Erdoğan admitted in an interview that she never planned to wear a hijab for her whole life. As a young woman, the idea scared her so much that she even thought about taking her own life. For a long time, Emine Erdoğan stayed in the shadows, accompanying her husband to official events. But even her restraint couldn't protect her from scandals. One day, a group of activists accused Emine and the Prime Minister's wife of distorting the image of the modern Turkish woman in the eyes of the global public by wearing hijabs. The scandal was quickly silenced, but it caused a lot of noise in Turkish society and the media. Later, there was another scandal. At a Women's Day event, Emine Erdoğan said that the harems of the Ottoman Empire were schools of life for Muslim women. She said that's where the mothers of sultans, who were influential and wise, were raised. But this statement sparked sharp criticism, especially in the West. For Europeans, the harem is not a symbol of education, but a symbol of submission and sexual slavery. And when the First Lady of a secular country romanticizes the harem, it is seen as an attempt to justify patriarchy, where women have no voice. For this, the president's wife was harshly criticized by the world media and even earned the title of First Lady of the Harem. But why is the presidential couple criticized so much around the world? Recep Tayyip Erdoğan and his wife Emine do not live the modest life of ordinary Muslims as they often tell the people. Officially, the president's wealth is estimated at least at $185 million. He owns not only stocks, luxury real estate and restaurants, but also a football team, Istanbul Angels, and his own brand of vodka. The wife of the Turkish president never stops going on shopping tours, preferring designer clothes and expensive antiques. She drinks special white tea that costs $2,000 per kilogram, while a quarter of her country's population lives on $4 a day. But the luxurious palace near the capital deserves special attention. The palace, which has more than 1,000 rooms, cost about $660 million. According to critics, Iraqi leader Saddam Hussein, known for his love of luxury, would have been envious of Erdoğan's palace. At the end of 2020, Emine Erdoğan once again found herself at the center of a scandal. The president of Turkey called for a boycott of French goods due to the deterioration of relations between Paris and Ankara. And internet users immediately remembered that Emine is a big fan of French brands. She is often seen in public with accessories from well-known and very expensive brands: Hermès, Chanel, and others. By the way, in Turkey, the media can only praise the First Lady, and criticism of her may lead to legal action. To reduce the heat of criticism or dissatisfaction towards Emine Erdoğan, one of the popular Turkish publications recently released an article about the First Lady's handbags. The journalist claimed that all the accessories Emine Erdoğan wears are imitations, not originals from famous brands. The publication tried to portray the 60-year-old First Lady as someone who watches every penny of the family budget. The article mentioned how Emine, instead of throwing away lemon and apple peels, collects them to make vinegar and uses olive pits to make sauces. Journalists suggested following Emine's example and drinking white tea from the Turkish region of Rize. They just forgot to mention that it costs $2,000 per kilogram. After this article, Erdoğan and his wife were called hypocrites online. European media also tend to disbelieve such articles because the Turkish president's wife has been repeatedly seen on shopping tours in Europe, visiting only exclusive boutiques. During a trip to Brussels, Emine's bodyguards blocked the entrance to a shopping mall where the Turkish president's wife was choosing Longchamp handbags while her husband was meeting with EU leaders to discuss solutions to the migrant crisis. The Daily Mail even openly called Emine Erdoğan a true shopaholic, portraying her life as an endless series of shopping trips. However, the wife of the president of Turkey is considered one of the most influential Muslim women, and her contributions to social development are recognized. In general, Emine Erdoğan's love for beautiful things does not prevent her from dealing with public issues. Recently, she met with Latifa ad-Darabi, the new First Lady of Syria. Emine Erdoğan shared on her page how they sweetly discussed humanitarian aid and women's empowerment. In a country where words can land you in jail, the First Lady of Turkey is spoken of in whispers. She is not a queen, but lives like one. And while millions of Turks are surviving on the brink of poverty, the president's wife continues to drink $2,000 tea and calls it modesty. What do you think of this modest woman? Share your opinion in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and like the video if you enjoyed it. See you soon.